and he's promised to dispatch security to patrol Hardin's streets, build an animal shelter and a homeless shelter, and offer free health care to city residents out of the jail's clinic. Those additional promises were not included in the jail agreement, which remains in limbo because U.S. Bank has so far declined to sign off on the contract. The bank is the trustee for the bonds used to fund the jail. A U.S. Bank spokesman declined to comment, but Peterson was adamant the deal would be approved. Hilton, 55, uses the title Captain when introducing himself and on his business cards, but he acknowledged it was not a military rank. And the question remains, if it's not going to be housing Guantanamo, or detainees from Guantanamo, because they've said that on the radio that I've listened to, then who is it going to house? What are they getting it ready for? Now, we got another story from Prison Planet on this. It says investigation could sink American police force. And this was written by Paul Joseph Watson. The plans of American police force to boss the $27 million detention center in Hardin, Montana, as well as expand their presence across the country while training foreign troops inside the U.S., could be mothballed after Montana's Attorney General launched an investigation and demanded the organization turn over all its records. Suspicious that the paramilitary unit, which attempted to pose as law enforcement in Hardin last week by placing decals on SUVs that read Hardin Police Department, is a cutout or a front group for a larger company, may be realized after AG Steve Bullock ordered Hardin city officials to turn over all their documents related to their dealings with APF by October 12th. His office made a similar demand of American police force, including information that would back up Michael Hilton's claims of multiple defense contracts with the U.S. government and other agencies, reports the AP. As we have highlighted, APF grandstands as a major player in the world of international private security, even claiming on its own website that it runs the U.S. Training Center, a Blackwater or Z-owned facility. This has led many to claim that the company is a shell or a front organization for something far more sinister, rumors that have only grown with APF's blanket refusal to name its parent company. The investigation was prompted by the revelation yesterday that APF founder, Captain Michael Hilton, is a career criminal and a convicted fraudster who has operated under no less than 17 different aliases. Hilton, a native of Montenegro, was sentenced to 6 years in jail in 1993 for such schemes you cannot believe, according to Joseph Carella, an Orange County, California doctor, namely a dozen counts of grand theft. Hilton has defrauded numerous different individuals to the tune of $1.1 million over the past 20 years. APF's plans to construct another facility in Hardin that will train international paramilitary forces also looks doomed following intense media scrutiny of the organization's shady dealings with local authorities and their probable violation of Article 2, Section 33 of Montana Constitution. And that's all thanks to Alex Jones. Judging by the reaction of attorney Becky Convery, who negotiated the original deal between Hardin authorities and APF, the contract to man the detention center and build the training facility could be torpedoed. American police force and Hilton are now obviously engaging in desperate damage control, trying to offset concerns that they were on the verge of transforming the town into a privately run police state. As the AP article puts it, before press scrutiny forced them to put the brakes on. Hilton has now pledged to donate the SUVs that were marked with the police decals to the city, while still pushing ahead with plans to provide law enforcement for the area for $250,000 a year. The fact that APF's training center plans to recruit foreign assets who could then be patrolling the streets of America, bossing U.S. citizens, is obviously a frightening prospect, completely unconstitutional, and another reason why APF needs to abandon its plans to act as a private police force completely.
He's got big balls, and she's got big balls.
No credible evidence of Iranian nuclear weapons, says UN inspector. This is by the London Guardian on September 30th, written by Julian Borger and Richard Norton Taylor. The UN's chief weapons inspector, Mohammed al-Baradei, said today he had seen no credible evidence that Iran is developing nuclear weapons, rejecting British intelligence allegations that a weapons program has been going on for at least 4 years. The claims and counterclaims came on the eve of a potentially decisive meeting in Geneva between diplomats from 6 world powers and an Iranian delegation about Tehran's nuclear ambitions. Iran insists its program is for peaceful purposes and that there is nothing illegal about a uranium enrichment plant under construction near the city of Qom, the existence of which was revealed last week. Iranian leaders say they did not have to inform the International Atomic Energy Agency until 6 months before the first uranium was processed. But al-Baradei, the outgoing IAEA Director General, publicly disagreed today, saying Iran had been under an obligation to tell the agency on the day it was decided to construct the facility. He said the Iranian government was on the wrong side of the law. However, al-Baradei rejected British intelligence claims that Iran had reactivated its weapons program at least 4 years ago. By making the claims, the UK broke with the official US intelligence position that Iranian work on developing a warhead probably stopped in 2003. They said that even if there was a halt, as reported in the U.S. National Intelligence Estimate 2 years ago, the program restarted in late 2004 or 2005. British officials had been privately skeptical about the NIE finding it since its publication in 2007, but this was the first time they had made detailed allegations about Iran's weapons program. Now, while Western powers are practically threatening Iran over enriching uranium in a facility they couldn't possibly make a weapon in, on the other side of the coin we have this article from October 2nd in the Washington Times. Obama agrees to keep Israel's nukes secret. This is written by Eli Lake. President Obama has reaffirmed a 4-decade-old secret understanding that has allowed Israel to keep a nuclear arsenal without opening it to international inspections, 3 officials familiar with the understanding said. The officials, who spoke on the condition that they not be named because they were discussing private conversations, said Mr. Obama pledged to maintain the agreement when he first hosted Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu at the White House in May. Under the understanding, the U.S. has not pressured Israel to disclose its nuclear weapons or to sign the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty, which could require Israel to give up its estimated several hundred nuclear bombs. Israel had been nervous that Mr. Obama would not continue the 1969 understanding because of his strong support for the non-proliferation and priority on preventing Iran from developing nuclear weapons. The U.S. and 5 other world powers made progress during talks with Iran in Geneva on Thursday, as Iran agreed in principle to transfer some potential bomb fuel out of the country and to open a recently disclosed facility to international inspection. Now, we all remember the controversial election in Iran that happened this year. Many are calling the Iranian government, or the Iranian president, Mahmoud Ahmadinejad, illegitimate because of those controversies, especially within our own Western media. However, we also have an election in Afghanistan that had a lot of controversy attached to it because many of the people there, and even within the UN, are claiming that Karzai is illegitimate. However, we have this article, Obama decides Karzai to stay in power despite fraud. This is written by Jason Ditz on September 28th from antiwar.com. Ending weeks of speculation regarding the massive fraud in Afghanistan's August presidential election, the Obama administration has formally decided that incumbent President Hamid Karzai will get a second 5-year term no matter what the investigations determine. The preliminary vote count showed that President Karzai got 54.6% of the vote, and chief rival Abdullah got only 28%. Election monitors, however, say that as many as a third of Karzai's votes, amounting to over 1 million, were potentially fraudulent. The Afghan constitution mandates a runoff vote in the event that no one gets 50% of the vote, a distinct possibility if Karzai loses hundreds of thousands of fake votes. Officials, however, say such a vote will be virtually impossible because of the rapidly approaching winter. U.S. and British officials have spoken out against a runoff vote, and a NATO meeting Friday appears to have settled the alliance on just eschewing the vote entirely and keeping Karzai in power, consequences be damned. But the reality is that Karzai's now seemingly formalized victory, coming in an election whose level of blatant fraud makes Iran's June vote look like a model of responsibility, is only going to increase the perception that the nation is under international occupation and that Karzai, rhetoric notwithstanding, is a figurehead. That concern seems to have been lost on the Obama administration, which has been crowing about the success of the vote for a solid month and seems eager to put the messiness of Karzai's stolen election